Have you ever stopped and wondered why you get to use so many amazing apps and services for free, while someone somewhere is paying for it all? Well, it's not by accident. There's this hidden strategy working behind the scenes, a kind of secret rule that decides who pays and who gets a free pass. Today we're going to break down that strategy. It's called asymmetric pricing. So here's our game plan. We're going to start with a weird little fee you've probably noticed on Airbnb. That'll lead us straight into the classic chicken and egg problem that every new platform has to face. Then we'll uncover the strategy itself, see how it's used everywhere, and even check out a cautionary tale of a company that got it completely wrong. Finally, we'll land on the key rules for success. Let's jump in. Okay, let's kick things off with the feeling I think we all know. You've spent hours, maybe even days, scrolling, you finally find that perfect place on Airbnb for your trip, you hit book, and then you get to the checkout page. And that's usually where the first question pops into your head.
And that's the mystery, right? You see your service fee and it's a decent chunk of change. But have you ever wondered what the host, the person who actually owns the property, is paying? You'd probably think it's about the same, maybe even more, but you would be way off.
Yeah, the difference is pretty shocking. While we, the guests, can end up paying a service fee of 13%, sometimes even more, the hosts are typically paying a tiny fraction of that. We're talking just 3 or 4%. It feels totally backwards, doesn't it? Why would Airbnb make its customers, the guests, carry almost the entire cost? The answer, it turns out, is baked into their origin story.
So picture this. It's 2007. Two roommates, Brian and Joe, can't make their rent. At the same time, this huge design conference comes to San Francisco, and every single hotel room is booked solid. So they have this wild idea. Why not rent out airbeds on their living room floor? Airbed and breakfast. And believe it or not, it actually worked. But to turn that clever idea into a real business, they had to solve a massive, classic problem that every platform like theirs runs into.
You see, to really get why those fees are so lopsided, you have to understand the first and biggest hurdle for any platform. Doesn't matter if it's Uber, Etsy, or the App Store. It's a paradox that can literally kill a company before it even gets off the ground.
It is the classic chicken and egg problem. For Airbnb, it was simple. Why would any guests go to a website that has no homes to rent? And on the flip side, why would any hosts bother listing their homes on a website that has no guests? You need both sides to show up, but neither side wants to be the first one in the door.
This is the multi-billion-dollar question. If you're building this thing from scratch, who do you go after first? The people looking for a place to stay, or the people with a place to offer? You get this wrong, and your platform is basically toast. The whole business hangs on this one decision.
So how did Airbnb crack the code? Well, they didn't try to get everyone at once. Instead, they broke the stalemate by making one side an offer that was just too good to refuse. Their logic was simple but really powerful. Airbnb realized that without properties, their site was worthless. The hosts, they were the chicken. So they put all their energy into getting hosts on board. They made it ridiculously cheap to list a property, charging that tiny 3 to 4% fee. And once they had a ton of cool and interesting homes, the guests had a reason to show up. And guess what? They were more than happy to pay a higher fee to get access to all that choice.
And that's really the core insight here. You have to figure out which group is absolutely essential for your survival. And then you give them a deal so good they can't possibly say no. You basically subsidize them. And this whole strategy has a name.
This whole idea of favoring one group over the other isn't some special trick Airbnb invented. It's a fundamental principle for almost every single platform you use every day. And once you know what to look for, you're going to see it absolutely everywhere.
It's called asymmetric pricing. The idea is you split your users into two groups. You have the subsidy side. This is the group you need to attract, so you give them a huge discount, or maybe you even let them use the service for free. And then you have the money side. This is the other group, the one that pays the bills and actually generates all the profit.
Let's just look at a few examples and you'll see the pattern instantly. Think about credit cards. We, the card users, are the subsidy side. We get cash back, travel points, all that good stuff. The merchants? They're the money side, paying a fee on every single transaction. How about video game consoles? Gamers are the subsidy side. Consoles are often sold at a loss to get them in our homes. The game developers are the money side, paying massive licensing fees. Food delivery? We get the discounts. The restaurants pay the commission. It's the same playbook over and over again.
So the formula seems pretty straightforward, right? Give one side a great deal. But what happens if you pick the wrong side? What happens when you get this strategy completely backwards?
Well, then you get the cautionary tale of Freechal, a company that was once an unstoppable online giant.
Okay, back in the early 2000s, Freechal was a monster in South Korea. It let people create free online communities, and it just exploded, hitting 10 million members by 2002. They had totally nailed the chicken and egg problem. But then, the company decided it was time to make some money. And in November 2002, they made a single, fatal decision. They announced a new monthly fee, and they aimed it directly at the people running the communities. And this right here, this is the fee that killed a giant. Just 3,000 won a month. Back then, that was about the price of a cup of coffee. It seems like nothing, right? But the amount of money wasn't the problem. The problem was who they decided to charge.
The reaction was immediate, and it was a total catastrophe. Freechal made a huge mistake. They tried to charge their most price-sensitive users. The community operators were the ones creating all the content, all the value, but they were also the ones who expected the internet to be free. They felt betrayed. And they didn't just leave. They packed up their entire communities and moved to rival platforms. Freechal's user base basically evaporated overnight, and the company never, ever recovered. The difference between Airbnb's massive success and Freechess's epic collapse is like night and day. And their stories give us two simple but incredibly powerful rules for getting asymmetric pricing right. So here they are, the two golden rules. Rule number 1, subsidize the group you absolutely need to solve that chicken and egg problem. For Airbnb, that was clearly the hosts. Rule number 2, subsidize the group that is the most sensitive to price. Freechal broke this rule spectacularly. They charged the creators. Airbnb followed it perfectly by charging the guests, who are way less sensitive to a 13% fee on a vacation than a host is to a new monthly bill for their business.
And that's really the bottom line here. This isn't just some abstract business theory. For any platform business, figuring out who your subsidy side is and who your money side is, well, it's one of the most important decisions you'll ever make. You get it right, you can build an empire. You get it wrong, and you end up as a footnote in history.
So the next time you open an app, order some food, or swipe your credit card, just take a second and ask yourself, who's the subsidy side here and who's the money side? Because now that you know the rules of the game, you'll start to see this invisible strategy playing out all around you.